Roaring Moon is officially banned from Gen 9 OU. Smogon continues to ban everything and cry like babies, rather than adapting. What else is new? I have not lost a single game to Roaring Moon as a result of my genius Terra Fairy Sticky Hold Gastrodon with Clear Smog that hard counters the Pokemon. Smogon is very clearly trying to erase my metagame adaptations from the history books and push their own agenda. And whenever I say this, people will always hit me with the typical follow-up questions. Oh, what's your ELO rating? What's your ladder position? Do you have any noteworthy tournament results? And I personally don't feel comfortable sharing such private information, and I think it's a little rude of you to ask me things like that. In all seriousness, folks, Roaring Moon is now banned, and this is one that I didn't know which way this vote would go. This was not a quick ban, it was a suspect vote, and there were compelling arguments from both sides about whether this Pokemon was too much or if it was just emblematic of Gen 9 OU's power level and should be maintained. I guess the community felt that it was a overwhelming and over-centralizing threat that dominated teams too much. The addition of Knockoff to this Pokemon's moveset since the DLC propelled it to new heights it has never seen before. And this is the third Pokemon, I think, that has fallen down to UU, risen back to OU, and then been banned to Ubers, following suit with the Emu, Espathra, and Baxcalibur, both of which fell to UU, rose back up, and then got banned. Bit of a funny pattern happening. The real question is, folks, what do we do from here? Now that this is gone, what's the next course of action? I've seen many tweets about the issues in OU, a lot of discourse. Hokiaim tweeted this, which I thought was interesting. There are now a total of 16 Pokemon banned from OU in Gen 9, which is pretty insane when you look at it. And he asked, do you think that any Pokemon here deserve a retest? Looking at this, I am not sure. I would lean towards no. I think all of these guys are broken. Some have said maybe you can consider Volcarona or Annihilate or like the Emu. I don't think so. I think that they abuse Terra and win instantly. Another thing to note is that without Terra, about half of these guys would be more manageable, including Annihilate, Volcarona, Espathra, Regieleki. Terra is definitely a common factor in many of these bans. There is a new tiering survey that is asking the community about a few Pokemon, including Gliscor, Manaphy, Goldengo, Ogerpon Wellspring, Sneasler, King Gambit, and the move Terra Blast. That's a lot of stuff, man. There's a lot of issues in the metagame, huh? That is an insane amount of things in a single survey. Something I think that they should re-examine is Terra as a whole. I think a lot of people, myself included, were thinking with the original Terra suspect that it was too early at the time to make a sweeping ban on an entire generational mechanic. With the idea that later on when stuff comes out home DLC, we would circle back to the discussion and reevaluate the place of Terra. I kind of thought that in the next tiering survey, considering how many Pokemon are pushed over the edge by Terra, that they would ask about it in the next survey. Maybe they should create a new survey asking about it, or just gauge people's opinions. I think there was one thread made post-home or post-DLC discussing the issue, but I think it was just discussion on the forums that didn't actually lead to anything, as far as I remember. That's something that I think they should definitely take a look at. Even many of these Pokemon, like Manaphy, Terra Abuser, Gliscor, for sure Terra Abuser, Sneasler, King Gambit, both of these Pokemon abuse Terra to overcome their weaknesses and get setup opportunities, which is OP in singles, as has been demonstrated multiple times. Gliscor is an interesting one that could be a potential suspect. This is a Pokemon that has existed for a while, but in the Gen 9 environment, with so many other Pokemon losing their utility, a lot of options being cut, and also the enhancement of Terra, making it way better defensively, this Pokemon has ascended to heights we've never seen before. And it's a rare instance of a Pokemon that's primarily defensive, maybe being on the radar for Smogon. That doesn't happen very often. Last time it happened was like, I guess Garganical technically was being talked about, but they never got suspected or banned or anything. And before that, Mega Sableye did get banned. But this might be another rare instance of a defensive Pokemon getting suspected. It is by far the most common defensive utility Pokemon in the metagame right now. That, and it's a little hard to nail down and actually eliminate. It has a lot of utility. It's an interesting one. Maybe you could argue the meta needs this for stability. Maybe you could argue it's too much, it's too dominant. It is creating bad gameplay and over-centralizing things. Another Pokemon that people have their sights set on is Goldengo. our favorite good as gold self-made Pokemon. And I've gone on record saying this is my favorite Pokemon in Gen 9, but people are frustrated with Goldengo and its monopoly, so to speak, on the hazard removal counterplay market. You can't defog against this, you can't rapid spin, you can't even mortal spin. And this is creating a metagame dominated by hazards to the extent that we have not seen in quite a while. If you use hazards, you basically want Goldengo every time. The addition of Samurott Hisui to the game with Ceaseless Edge to attack with a significantly powerful attack considering the secondary effect of making spikes, can't be blocked by Magic Bounce, can't be blocked by Taunt, can't be blocked by effects like Covert Cloak or Shield Dust, which don't consider this to be a secondary effect. This is one of the most powerful moves ever made, and the addition of Samurott Hisui has enhanced Goldengo's value, as has the addition of Rabombi with Sticky Web. And the hazard game is becoming a problem. In the past, you compare this maybe to Gen 3 OU, where there's a similar metagame, where spikes are very dominant and Gengar is commonly used to spin block and keep spikes on the field, keep offense going. I think the difference is that in Gen 3 OU, there's a lot of adaptation around that. Claydol, for example, is a rapid spinner that can at least threaten Gengar with super effective stab and actually withstand it because of its bulk. All Gengar can do is like an Ice Punch, a pretty low power move. There's also Pursuit Tyranitar can eliminate Gengar. A lot of stuff can lure in Gengar and either trap or chip it down. The amount of things that can actually nail down Goldengo is limited. It also doesn't have limited health. At least, Gengar doesn't have healing move. Health is a limited resource, and eliminating an enemy's Gengar some way or another is realistic, and you can then, do that as a game plan and find a rapid spin eventually, eliminating their ghost type, allowing yourself to rapid spin. In this metagame, it's more difficult because Goldengo can Terra defensively. If you have a defogger like Corviknight or something, it can recover back. It has like status moves. It can go bulky, which makes it even harder to nail down. It can run Air Balloon, making it more solid against like Great Tusk. I think there's not enough in the game that can take on Goldengo, and it creates the same sequences that play out every time, which can be annoying. Goldengo also has a plethora of options. Even though I like the Pokemon, I can understand the argument of the centralized metagame it creates around hazard removal. You remove Goldengo, now Corviknight can defog freely. And there would still be counterplay of defog in the form of like Defiant, which King Gambit could run, I guess, or Ogerpon, Zapdos. I guess these options are quite limited now that I'm looking at it. In the past, you could take advantage of defog just by forcing them to use it, taking advantage of the free turn they spend doing so to get some momentum back. Hazard removal is an important part of the metagame, and Goldengo is shutting that down a lot. It could be a problem. Now, if like me, you're sick of the tumultuous nature of Gen 9 OU, the constant bans, the chaos, offensive threats that can win in a single turn, they terrestrialize, what are you supposed to do? Why not play Gen 3 OU, a metagame where none of that is a problem at all, where top threats are reasonable, manageable. You have all the tools at your disposal to handle the metagame, and you can even think outside the box and be a bit creative with beautiful options like Weezing, Vaporeon, even Ursaring, which recently got an interesting tournament victory in an endgame situation. You can check out all these games from Jimothy Gaming, my second channel where every day we are commentating sets from my tournament ADV Revival. Check it out if you're interested, and thank you for watching, everybody. Roaring Moon is banned. Who cares? Let's play Gen 3 instead. Goodbye. Thank you to the patrons for your continued support, and thank you as well to everyone who has donated to the prize pool for this tournament.
Oh, KO'd by one hit! It's scattered spike!
The money got different, cause of what I'm spending.